Hello, everyone. My name is Shanae Jones, and this is KNKY, which stands for Know the New Kinky You. And this is part 4 of the 4-part series where we're talking about some basic sex education. So in our first video, we talked about different sex education methods, models that happen in school, which are comprehensive, ideally, and abstinence only. Comprehensive, we need to focus a little bit more on pleasure. So, this part is actually talking about the comprehensive key concepts and topics that need to be discussed as part of comprehensive sex education. I think this particular model does better at even addressing some of the human connection issues. So let's just go through this run. And so part of the second part of the video, we talked about second part of the series, we talked about male human anatomy, reproductive human anatomy, which is the penis. And then we talked about, in part 3, the female reproductive sexual organs, including the vagina and specifically the clitoris, which is an amazing little devil within itself. So as you are having these conversations, especially if you have younger children or children that are in the realm of possibility to have sex, you want to take a step back and think about how it is that you grew up and think about the messages that you got as a child, because people don't understand how much we are truly influenced by our younger years. These are our developmental stages, and the messages that we get will translate to how it is that we interact in our relationships and have towards a sexual attitude as adults. So these concepts they are K through 12, but I really call it K through 99, because sex is a lifetime of learning yourself, learning your body, learning your partner, learning different things in different relationships over time. So it's not a thing that you learn once and you're done. Oh, I know everything there is to know about sex. I can promise you, I've spent the last year and a half, 2 years learning about sex. And there are a lot of different things that I had to discover for myself that, I now have a perspective where I want to teach my young daughter a different message than what it is that I received growing up, which wasn't much of anything. It's just not something that we talked about. So sex is a natural, normal part of human development. It's part of who we are. And so if we nurture it the same way we nurture learning to read and learning to write, becoming a better person, becoming a better individual, being able to be in a relationship with somebody, it's a huge thing. So we have an opportunity to teach our children differently. So let's just go through some of the key concepts. So in key concept number 1 is human development, where we're talking about reproductive and sexual anatomy. So we talked about, and physiology. So we're talking about just the general makeup, what happens during puberty, reproduction, body image, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Now, I think that these are very important because, as a parent, I'm looking at the TV shows that my daughter has access to. And on these shows, family dynamics aren't the same as they used to be. And we're going to talk about some relationships. So I'll get into key concept number 2, which is relationships, families, friendship, love, romantic relationships and dating, and marriage and lifetime commitments. So, on the Loud House, one of the little boys, he has 2 dads. That's the reality for him. One of the boy's sisters is a lesbian. So, she likes girls. And I'm like, these are things that our children are being exposed to. And I don't want to hide her from it, because it's not just boys and girls, and people have questions about their identity. And it's not always easy for people to know, how they feel about their sexuality if they don't have the ability to have the conversations. People are confused because they don't have anybody to talk things through. So whether or not you agree or don't agree, you have to, I think that people should be of the fact to accept that life and the way we are developed isn't the same for everybody. And we have to be cognizant of the fact that if we keep ourselves in a teaching position, in a place that we are acknowledging that not everybody is the same, but the basic foundations of us as people are the same, we can create a different message. So with key concept number 3, we're talking about personal skills. So what are our values, decision-making processes, communication, being assertive, negotiation, and looking for help. Now, what that means is knowing that who I am as a person, being in a position to make smart decisions and not necessarily because somebody told me or my friends are doing this. And, if you're feeling any type of pressure, again, looking for help. You have to be in a position to communicate and in order to get the help. But if you don't feel comfortable, then what can you do? You're at a loss to be able to help the people in your life that you want to protect so badly. Key concept number 4 is sexual behavior. So we're talking about sexuality throughout life. So again, sex doesn't stop just because when you're a young teenager, like you found out about sex and oh, that's it. No, you can have an ever evolving sexual identity, aptitude, interest. It can change over time. It's very, very fluid. Masturbation, shared sexual behavior, sexual abstinence, human sexual response. There's a sexual response cycle. So there are 4 phases of sexual response that we go through. Sexual fantasy and sexual dysfunction. It's like fantasy it's a mental thing. It's like, how do you get into that headspace to create a world of sex that you are enjoying? And in the event that physically something is not working for you, how do you go back and address that? Key concept number 5 is sexual health. So reproductive health, contraception, pregnancy and prenatal care, abortion, sexually transmitted diseases or sexually transmitted infections, STIs are what they call them now, and sexual abuse, assault, violence, and harassment. There is a downside to sex, and being educated about those things will help you make better decisions in life. So you have, again, the ability to ask questions and know how to respond in certain situations. And finally, the key concept number 6 is society and culture. So sexuality and society, gender roles, sexuality and the law, sexuality and religion, diversity, sexuality and the media, and sexuality and the arts. So, how are we perceived from a social, even this, getting on a social media platform and talking about sex is not something that a lot of people are willing to do. But we have to put ourselves in a position to be successful and have the conversation so that we are better people and have better relationships in life. And so there are just a couple do's and don'ts that I want to just say quickly. Do communicate, don't shame. Put people in a position to be willing to talk, create that safe space, create that container for them that they want to come to you and ask you questions and get information. That's the space that I'm trying to create. So if anyone ever has any questions, feel free to post, comment, direct message, whatever it is that you need to do. I hope you've enjoyed this 4-part series on basic sex education and how it is that it can be used to create a better part of your life. My name is Shanae Jones. This is KNKY. Follow me on social media. Do you KNKY, and I will see you again soon.